And now I am delighted to ask the Honorable Florida Governor to address us on opportunities for Israeli companies in Florida. Ron DeSantis, please come to stage. These are your talking points.
I don't need to.
You don't.
Well, thank you. It's really great to be here. We've had a remarkable trip. We brought over a delegation, which I think is like 75, 80 people, and it's the largest delegation that any governor from the United States has ever brought to the state of Israel. And I say that because we were talking with everybody and everyone said, well, we can't really remember any time where anyone brought any more, so this must be the most. So we're taking that and we're running with it. It's really remarkable to see a lot of what's been going on in Israel really for a number of years now. And when I was in the Congress, I was on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I was on the Middle East Subcommittee, I was the chairman of the National Security Subcommittee for 4 years, and we did a lot on Middle East policy, and I took a number of trips to the state of Israel, some of them general trips, some of them specifically for the Jerusalem embassy. We did a lot of things against BDS, but what you really learn very quickly is that this is really one of the main hubs of innovation in the entire world. You take out your smartphone and the number of things that were developed in Israel is significant. You have one little country that, I mean, you probably could fit 15 Israels inside Florida with how small it is, and yet you have really a remarkable amount of innovation. And so I have been impressed of the ties between Florida and Israel in terms of economic relations, but I see more opportunity, and so one of the reasons why I wanted to make this the first trip that I took overseas on a trade mission since I became governor in January is because I think there's a lot more potential, and I think that we have a lot more that we can do. One of the things I think that people in Israel look at in the United States is you have good ideas. America is obviously a great place to bring those ideas, but you got to make decisions about where in the United States is best to invest and to build a business. And I'd say Florida right now in our country is second to none in terms of a place to build a business. We have first of all, I think we have some members of Florida legislature here. Are you guys here? Where are you at? Will you stand? We have legislators. Geller. Okay, we got two leaders back there. They're going to be leading both chambers in about a year going forward. And I think it's important to point out the good work that the legislature has done. Florida is a state that has a remarkably strong business climate. We are very fiscally responsible. Our state of Florida has more people than the state of New York. And yet our budget is roughly half of the state of New York. Our taxes are probably much less than half of the state of New York. And so we don't have a lot of the states in different parts of our country. New York's one, Illinois is another, I'd say California. They have very high tax burdens, very copious regulatory climates, and then they have a lot of unfunded liabilities with pensions and things like that. So not only are they not in great fiscal shape now, not only are they not taxing a lot now, but really they're going to have to continue to tax and spend far into the future. And Warren Buffett recently said, be wary of investing in places where you're going to have those fiscal albatrosses into the future. Florida is not one of those states. I mean, we really take pride in standing up for taxpayers. We think having a low tax environment has benefited our state tremendously. The federal government, well, in fact, I was in Congress for this, when they did the 2017 tax reform, one of the things that was done was they limited the deductions for state and local taxes. So it used to be, California raises income taxes and you just write that off your federal tax return. Well, in Florida, that wasn't fair because, we didn't have an income tax, and so our taxpayers weren't able to write that down. So by limiting that, basically you're saying if you're raising taxes on the state level, people are going to know you're doing it. You're not going to be able to pass that cost on to other federal taxpayers. And what that has done is really accelerated a movement from within the United States, from the states that tax heavily and spend excessively, to states like Florida. We're not the only one where people are going, but we're one of the main landing spots for people. And I think it's going to continue to be that way because we're really going to be in good shape going forward. We are also a state for people in Israel looking around. We're in a very turbulent political time around the world. You look at Europe, what you see with anti-Semitism, huge problem. Even in the United States, unfortunately, we've had some incidents. But Florida is really one, I'd say we're probably the most pro-Israel state in the country. And it's not just because people like me in office are pro-Israel, our legislature's pro-Israel, our cabinet, that's all true. But I think the people of Florida really have a strong connection with the Jewish state. And it's not just because we have a sizable Jewish population. In fact, if I'm in a synagogue in Miami Beach, I will have people, obviously, who support Israel. I can go to the other side of the state in the Panhandle in Pensacola, and there aren't as many Jewish people, probably not a lot at all, that would attend events, but they're just as pro-Israel. And so it's a uniform support. And I think you see that in Florida's policies reflected. We were the first state, the cabinet, we were the first state to do a resolution on the Jerusalem embassy, supporting that. We have some of the toughest anti-BDS legislation in the country. And in fact, when Airbnb issued its policy at the end of last year, before I even took office, I said that was going to be a problem. Then once I took office, we immediately added Airbnb to our scrutinized companies list under our anti-BDS law. And lo and behold, because of action we took and other states, Airbnb, I think, wisely reversed its policy, and it's not going to go down the road of discriminating against Israeli citizens. And I think that's certainly the prudent thing to do. And then today, later today, we're going to have a meeting of the Florida cabinet at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. And then after that meeting, it's a historic deal. And then after that meeting, I'm going to sign into law one of the toughest anti-Semitism bills in the entire United States. Basically, our education institutions, are going to have to treat anti-Semitism, BDS, all these things similar to they would treat racial discrimination. So we're taking a very hard line on anti-Semitism in Florida. And so I think Florida has, a welcoming economic climate, but certainly a welcoming cultural climate for really a lot of folks, but certainly for people in the state of Israel. So I'm happy to say that we've met with a number of business leaders already, and I've already had good news about, hey, yeah, we're going to expand in Florida, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So there'll be announcements, I think, over the next weeks and months that are going to be very, very exciting. But we want to make sure that we have a very strong relationship going forward. One thing that I will mention is, as much as we want Israeli innovation, technology, we also want Israeli tourism. We think Florida is a good place for people in Israel to want to visit. I've been a big supporter, and I'm glad that the direct flights from Ben Gurion to Miami have been successful and will continue to go. And this summer, starting I think in July, El Al is going to do a nonstop flight from Ben Gurion to Orlando so that Israelis can go to our theme parks. Got a lot of different theme parks there, water parks, Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, all these different things that really make Florida unique. Although there is one For those who've never been to Orlando, if you're driving right in the middle of the highway, on one side of the highway there's a theme park actually about the Holy Land. It's a Holy Land theme park. I don't think that's going to be much of a draw for Israelis. I think they got that covered over here. So we're excited about that opportunity and really having a stronger connection, not just to southern Florida, but to other parts of Florida. I think will really benefit us, going forward. So I appreciate the fact that the summit is taking place. I think that you're going to continue to see a lot of great things out of Florida's economy, and I know you're going to see a lot of great things out of Israel's economy. So it's an honor for me to be the governor leading such a great delegation of folks, and we're going to have a productive, this is our third day, we're going to have a very productive third day. We'll be here tomorrow in Jerusalem, which will be very exciting. Then we're going to head back to Florida. So thank you all for having us, and God bless everybody.